So I've had a lot of requests on how to make and sell clip art. So I'm going to talk as I'm doing this, and you're going to think this is silly. I go to Pinterest and I literally type in how to draw whatever you're looking for. So for this one, I'm going to do a football. Now, obviously, I do not draw it the same way that they do, but I do like looking at the shapes, right? Because it shows you all the different shapes here and the different things to add. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this tiny and I'm going to put it over here. Now I am going to make a new layer. I've got my black selected. I've got my ink 3 brush. And if I'm able to, so if I'm drawing something that is able to be done this way, I go in here to my canvas, I go drawing guide, edit, and I go to symmetry. The symmetry just means that what I draw on one side will show up on the other, and that's really helpful for things that are symmetrical. Obviously, if you're doing something like a foam hand, things that are not going to be the same on both sides, I only turn this on for ones that you do. And anytime you do a new layer, you have to turn the drawing assistant on. So if you're drawing part of a design and you need the drawing assist, you can then do a new layer and not have the assist on that one and then add all the details that you need to. But this pretty much shows us how to do the shapes, right? And I know it says how to draw for kids, but it's okay. We're adults, we're learning. And the first thing is just like this half circle, right? So I'm going to start here and I'm going to do this half circle. And that was awful. One, I need to bump my brush up. Two, I need to slow down my circle. Okay, now this is going to be a very dark one just because I'm wanting to show you all the things. So then I want to do something that is not symmetrical. I want to do some lines because you see how you have the little lines going this way? I don't like to do the line down the middle for the football, but you can if you want to. But I like to do my little swoops like this. And then I just go in and erase the edges. So that's why I like to do that kind of stuff on a new layer so I don't have to be perfect. And then I duplicate that and I flip that vertically. Now I'm just doing a football because, we're going into football season and all the things. I'm going to make that a little bit smaller and bump it down a little more. Oh, right there. Because I did not leave myself room for my stitches. And then I'm just going to pinch those two together and then merge them. I'm going to pull that down here. And then I don't need an assisted layer. So once again, I'm just going to leave that as is. Now I am not going to do in this tutorial the one that they're doing, but you can do something as simple as doing a line. And if I do pressure on this one, it does different. And you can just do stitches. So I know that looks awful, guys, but bear with me because what I'm going to do is I now have this would technically be like a sketch layer, right? So I'm going to bump the opacity down, go up to the next layer. I'm going to go ahead and delete my reference because we have what I'm actually going to be drawing now, which is the one that I want to do. And I'm going to center that up a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead, add a new layer. I've got my ink brush. I want to bump it down a little bit because that is a little thick even for me to be using. And I didn't do the symmetrical this time because you can also duplicate and flip it horizontally and not have to go through the headache of trying to make the other setup for the symmetry. And when it comes to ideas, while I'm just going in, I'm tracing the thing that I've already drawn. So it's not like I'm like stealing somebody's artwork here. But I want to go in and do this. And I've done tons of videos on where I get my ideas for what to draw. And so this would be from the trend report. I was like, hey guys, all the things fall in football and sports and mascots are trending. So this week I dropped a football stamp set. So this is looking really good. I'm going to go ahead and merge these because I don't need them on different layers. But the one thing I am going to do different because I figured you guys would want to see how I do this is I'm going to go in and I'm going to do 2 lines like this. I'm going to do an end. And then I'm going to do another layer. because I'm gonna go ahead and do another rectangle on its own little layer, because these are the ones that you can fill in, right? So you can do the sketchy one that I did below, or you can do this one. And layers are your friends, guys. I'm just saying. I do layers for everything if I'm able. Now, used to my older iPad, I literally only had like 5 layers of canvas. Everything had to be merged, and then I just had to draw, 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 draw. So I love that I can duplicate what I've already done and not have to do quite so much. And I've got one more to do, but all I'm doing is duplicating those layers. Now, I could have duplicated one, merged them. It's fine. Right now, I'm leaving it to where everything is fully editable just in case. And I'm actually going to go here and I'm going to make this a distort because I want to pull it up a little bit, but I don't want it to be like wider. And then while I still have that one selected, I don't need this part in the middle. So I'm going to bump my eraser down. I just have a monoline eraser selected. Oop, I got to do the other ones. Now I am going to, nope, that was right. I was doing it the wrong way. I've got to erase this way, right? So we're doing our little erasing, but I don't want my brush big enough that it's coming over here because then it'll erase too much. And now I have my football. So now I'm going to merge those together. I'm going to turn off the back layer. And then if you want to, you can always work this if you want to, add some character there. Or if you want to do one that is kind of like tilted, you could do it like that. And then I'm going to add another layer. And this is when I would go in and add my little extras, my little accents, and then you're done. So now you have your clip art. Now, in order to make this a brush, and I'm going to go to my football brushes here, go with this one. In order to make this a brush, no, I'm not. I'm going to go back to my brush set and see if I have a stamp on here. Okay, I have an M. I'm going to duplicate this, and then I want to show you guys the settings. So I have to go here. I go to add copy canvas. Then I'm going to select my M, go to shape, edit, import, paste. That has now pasted my design. Rotation needs to be 0. Randomize needs to not be turned on. So I'm going to show you guys. I have the spacing very high. I have it 86%. Everything else is turned off. Stabilization, you can put it as you would like it. I'm using these for stamps, not for a brush, so it doesn't really matter. We don't want to have a taper. We've already done the shape settings. The only thing I have is touch only, no rotation, randomized is not on, and then everything else I just leave as is, or I attempt to leave as is if I stop doing that. I don't mess with the grain. The rendering, I have intense blending, flow max. Everything else is the same. Wet mix, this has a pull that's high. You don't have to have that, but I do. I'm not going to make this a multicolored brush. I mean, a multicolored stamp. So I'm just going to leave that as is. Dynamics are left alone. Apple Pencil. I have to, usually it'll be something like here. I have to go in and turn opacity none under Apple Pencil so that you don't have a gray stamp. Properties, I turn off orient to screen. I go maximum brush behavior. Maximum size is max. Minimum size is just how big your original brush is. And I do at least 100 for that to fill the canvas. Close enough. And then maximum opacity, we want it max. And you could also, just in case, you could do minimum opacity max. Doesn't really matter. Materials we don't mess with. The preview, I just do a size of about 9 to 10%. Pressure scale is at 100. The preview that I like is this. So I use the stamp preview. And then I'll bump it down to where it fits in the window. And that's how I give you guys your stamps. And then this is where I would put made by Krafty Digital. I would put my logo here. And then the last thing that I do before I complete this is I create a new reset point. and save that. The reason why we do that is because if I would not have done that before, and then of course we also have to click the button to save, and now it is our football. If I would not have clicked the create new reset point, then if I ever had to go in and reset the brush, it would have reset to the M, not the football. Now I have this. What did I do? I have it turned somehow. Rotation is fine. That is fine. Apple pencil, fine. I don't know what I've done. Oh, there we go. I have orient to screen on, not off. My bad. And then, yeah, so then you can do that. Now be careful resizing because it can blur, but that is how I take a design. So let's say I'm saying I'm doing football, right? Because we're doing fall and all the things. So I go to Pinterest and I'm like, how to draw what? Whatever that may be, because they have so many different variations of ways that you can draw it. They have usually the how to draw for kids.com has a step-by-step shape. So that helps you to know, okay, what shapes am I using? What am I doing here? And then you just go from there. You have to put your spin on it, right? Like we're not tracing over their things. But it's great to have a reference like that so that we can see what shapes we're using for everything. And I really hope that this helps. So once I do this, I do an entire set. So I'll show you guys the football set I'm dropping today is here. So I go ahead and do the whole set and then I name them, and you name them by holding on it and clicking rename. And then once I have one done for a bundle, I just swipe to the left and duplicate. And then I use all of my settings from the previous one for the next one. All the things that you have to change is the only thing you do is you go to shape, edit, import, paste your new shape, select the blue, and then you go about this brush, create reset point, save. I go back to shape and click the blue. And that's how I do my outlines. So once I've done this, I do my mock-ups and all the things. I'll usually try to do a design with it. So maybe I'll go in and drag and drop some colors here and just do a design. Footballs are naturally white on the other parts for the laces and everything. So then I would just, have my football charm. I've got my list right here of my brushes. I've got my one that I drew. And then I select and do a screenshot. And that is what I use as my mockups. So I hope that this helps. Super excited. And this kind of gives you a little bit more direction for how to start with something, draw it, make it a stamp, and then how you can package that. Just make sure that when you're done, you select your football, you click share, and the football here is I'm sharing the entire bundle set, Procreate brush set, and then I send it to my drive.